Space Coconut.
So, we may as well get started. We're just going to do a little an experimental podcast today. Lord Immortal is joining us today, and he is a small content creator. But the primary reason I'm inviting him here is because he's basically a regular player, and I want to have conversations with players of the game that aren't necessarily huge creators or people who are trying to make a living with content creation. Lord Immortal, you said that it's kind of a hobby, yeah?
Yeah, again, whenever I do stream, it's like maybe again like just one or two people that mess out in Discord, hey yo, I'm live, and they come and hang out for a couple minutes and then they back out. Like, it's not like I'm really doing it because, for the same reason as like other streamers. It's a hobby. Yeah, it's the best way to put it.
So one of my things that I wanted to try and do, yes, Prawns, Space Whisperer, what I'm going to try and do is have more of these with people from the coconut community that have something to say and might not necessarily have the platform to say it in line with, what we're trying to do on this channel. Subseps, buddy. Hi, buddy. And so that's what we're going to be trying to do today. And I just have the chapter 18 design notes. And then we're also going to chat about the No Blood Hunt weekend that we just had. So we'll just see. We'll see how that goes. So, Lord Immortal, how was your weekend with the No Bloodlust thing? How was that for you?
Okay, so when it came to the No Bloodlust, I personally didn't really feel it that much as killer. However, they also weren't the greatest survivors. So, and I only played for one day during the thing. I didn't play the entire time for hours. So I only got like a few matches in. But from what I did get, I didn't really get that bad of matches. Again, I didn't really feel that bad. However, I did see some other players playing, and it kind of reminds me why it's in the game, I guess, because when you have the really, again, if it's like, you've seen that one Ghostface clip on Twitter where the Ghostface is like just looping and playing horribly, and then the person responded, they tweeted it saying, this is why we need Bloodlust, and everyone started calling them out for saying, no, they're just playing bad, Like, I feel like that specific situation, that killer doesn't deserve that hit because they're playing bad, so Bloodlust shouldn't really be applied there. However, there are times when you just genuinely, it's just really bad RNG, or it's not RNG, it's just bad map design, and because of those reasons, a good survivor that knows it will just abuse it, and it's not their fault. Like, survivor skill, in my opinion, doesn't come from your mechanical, it comes from your knowledge, and if you know how to abuse something, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah. The Seps is saying that clip brought shame to the ghost-faced kind.
Dude, that it really did. Seps, you need the what is it? Raise the bar for Ghostface reputation, bro. He's the being done right now.
Nah, Seps knows that Ghostface sucks. So I'm just kidding. So I think that is an important point. I do think that's an important point, that, the player skill is something that really, really needs to be considered when they're playing with this Yeah. Because like I said in that video, if the players are bad, then Bloodlust is going to have a bigger impact on the match.
Oh yeah.
And if they're better players, then it's less impactful. So the question then becomes, what do you do about this thing that helps weaker killers and doesn't help stronger players?
Yeah.
And I don't have the answer to that, but it's a question that we should be asking the devs, because one of their biggest problems that I see is that they're trying to find a one-size-fits-all problem or solution to their problems.
Yeah.
Everybody's been saying make Bloodlust a perk, and I think everybody understands that would be a really, really silly idea.
Yeah, I mean, I had that idea for a minute because I was thinking, if you're going to have just a free speed boost just by chasing people, maybe it should take up a perk slot, but at the same time, you don't really need it. I feel like
that's called play with your food.
Yeah, exactly. Just works.
It doesn't exactly have Bloodlust can't be a perk. because then it becomes, then it becomes another Band-Aid fix that's in a perk.
Yeah,
which is pretty awful.
We have enough of those right now, and I don't think we need any more, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
Mm-hmm. And so then it comes down to, so what's the solution? And I think a lot of people agree that how the devs are handling maps and things recently may have been helping the issue, but it's not time to remove Bloodlust yet.
Yeah, no. If anything, this isn't my original idea that I just thought of on the spot because I'm a mega mind. This is just, choir that everyone's been preaching, and I agree with it. I say, when people say remove Bloodlust 2 and 3 and keep 1, I think that would be a good start, because I feel like Bloodlust isn't necessary on certain maps. But Bloodlust 3 is just, well, A, it's inefficient to use anyway because of how long it takes to build. B, it's really it's just not satisfying to play against as Survivor. Like, I can tell you, like, when I played more Survivor right now because of the queue times, I haven't been playing the Survivor as much, but like when I was playing Survivor more, and I still do, but like just trying to, when you're looping a killer really good because they're misplaying, and then just Bloodlust 3, and it's not even like a safe palette or anything, like they just Bloodlust 3 you, and it's like, okay, yeah, sure. And I mean, technically it's fair, they did it within the rules, but like it's not satisfying at all.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
And I think that Bloodlust 1 though would, like, if it was just Bloodlust 1, it would make the killer a little bit more threatening, and also would give that boost on the, like I said, a really bad map spawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bloodlust 1 is good enough, in my opinion.
And I think I agree. I understand what you're saying, because I know that when I'm playing Hag, if I get to Bloodlust 1, then I'm like, okay, this chase has been going on for a little too long. I need to worry about how much time I've been here. But as soon as I hit Bloodlust 2, I'm like, okay, this has gone on for way too long. Yeah. And, I'm being really, really stupid about this chase.
Right.
But just to address GMD Neptune, Terrico isn't here today because I didn't invite him today. I was thinking about it, but I wanted to do what I said I was going to do last time, and we're just having a chat with regular players today. And so, if you don't mind me calling you a regular player, Lord Immortal.
I'm a regular player. Trust me, I play this game casually. I play other games, and I have school, work, and just sleep that I need to fix all the time. So I'm not playing this game regularly. So to call me a regular player is fair. It's fair. Makes sense. It's true. So.
Yeah. And so my point is that the podcast is for the community as a whole, and not just for people who are content creators. And, even if Lord Immortal isn't a huge content creator, he still has feelings and opinions on the game that are just as valid as Monto's or Otz's. Lord Immortal's opinions are just as important as his. So that's the idea behind the Space Whisperer podcast, because none of us are going to be fog whisperers. And so that's kind of the idea behind it. So just in case you understand, just so you understand their GMD, that's why. But I do like chatting with Terrico, and we will do that again sometime.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was responding to someone in chat.
No worries.
What were we talking about again?
Bloodlust.
Bloodlust, right. Okay. So, back on that, because I was going to say something too. Because you were talking about Hag, right? Where if you get Bloodlust, and then you're like, okay, this thing isn't going on for way too long.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, also, like, imagine a baby Hag player that just picked up Hag for the first time, hasn't watched your guide yet because they're a mistake, and hasn't seen Michi, just doesn't know what they're doing, right? And they're like, okay, what does this killer do? And then they're chasing, and then they just Bloodlust 3 every time because they don't know how to properly use the traps. Like, for the longest time, they're just going to be doing that over and over again. And that's going to be a hard habit to break. And the same thing if they pick up, let's say, Huntress, and they just suck with the hatchets. So instead of learning how to get good with hatchets, they just rely on their Bloodlust to get that hit, right? Now, granted, I feel like eventually they'd figure out, okay, maybe I should just play 115 killer, or eventually they'd figure out, okay, just learn to use the killer's power forehead. But, like, I think Bloodlust, it does build those bad habits in players, whether they're brand new or, somewhat maybe intermediate,
Yeah, and like you said, okay, so I think I think everybody agrees that Bloodlust 1 isn't necessarily a problem.
Yeah.
And that it's less of a problem the more experience you gain, and the more you understand how to mind game loops and play the game. and that it becomes more necessary if the killer doesn't know how to mind game or doesn't have that experience. Because looping as a survivor, I mean, I don't do it that well, but I'm assuming it's not too difficult, right? And if, I mean, it's just my opinion, because I can't really, I'm not a good survivor, but I've seen people be able to outplay me running at Bloodlust 3 because I'm awful with a killer, and it's that experience, it's that skill gap that becomes necessary. So then, we wonder, what is the problem? And I think everything is connected in a big circle when we talk about this. Bloodlust is for newer players. More experienced players are fine with it, but still have problems because of the maps, and everything is connected that way. And I don't think we'll ever really be able to get away from that.
Yeah, no, that's true. Again, an idea that this was way before they even did the Bloodlust test. This was like a year ago. I was watching a Tofu video, or maybe it was a stream, one or two. And he suggested being able to turn off Bloodlust in like your settings. And while I don't really think that would like solve the issue, because I feel like a lot of players would just keep it on, because why would you put yourself at a disadvantage? I feel like players that were competent could turn that off and then just have that, I guess. Or maybe they could have it off by, actually, have that be a stupid idea. Never mind. Scrap that. I was going to suggest maybe an idea, have it be off by default and they could turn it on. But then it's like, oh yeah, let me just turn on this fucking boost. Sure thing.
Yeah.
Like, that just sounds wrong. Like, in my head, it sounds like a good idea, but when you say it like that, that's a horrible idea.
It's exactly like being able to opt out of a Swift group.
Yeah.
If killer players had the choice, they would never go against a Swift group if they had the choice.
I guess a majority would, yeah. I mean, I personally don't really mind Swifts too much, and that's just because, like, half the time, I'm going to be honest, they're pretty bad. But again, like, yeah.
You never know. You never know.
Definitely, a lot of players would, I do agree, they would just opt out if they had that information, so.
Yeah. Lonak, no, Bloodlust does not turn off, but it was a suggestion that somebody made a while ago. Fishy says that he loves the challenge, and you're right. Swift groups are a challenge, and it's something that you can use to learn and get better at the game. But you get to that point where it's the groups that, are basically the tournament groups, the sweat groups that are doing what they want to do. And then it's kind of like, do you really want to go against that group?
Right.
But that's a whole different topic altogether.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, so do you think they're going to remove Bloodlust?
Honestly, at this rate, I don't know, because I've been hearing a lot of good feedback. I've been hearing a lot of bad feedback. I've heard a lot of no feedback. Like, and also I'm not like heavily invested in like researching what everything is happening and all that. Like, I just, if I see something on Twitter about Dead by Daylight, I'm like, oh, what's this? Or if a content creator
so
that
I guess
watch it, upload something,
So I guess you did mention before, so that you would be okay with them removing Bloodlust 2 and 3, but you'd still like to have Bloodlust 1 in place? Did I understand you right?
Yes, and that's not necessarily just because I think that, but that's like that's what the choir is preaching right now, and I kind of just agree with it. Makes a logical sense.
Okay.
So,
all right, that makes sense. Yeah. So chat, what do you guys think about the Bloodlust test and all of that shenanigans that happened? Ability Master says, everyone's talking about this Bloodlust and I main Deathslinger, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. That's how I feel with Hag. Like, I don't always, sometimes at some of the smaller loops, I will end up getting into Bloodlust, but it's not something that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Caleb says there's a, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if I ever do hit Bloodlust above 2 for more than like 3 seconds, it's because I played horribly. It's not usually because of broken stuff. So.
Caleb says there was a major boycott this weekend, so you think they'll probably be careful. I looked at the Steam charts, and the numbers didn't seem like they went down that much. Not any more than they were going down normally after the Halloween event.
Yeah. The thing I definitely
noticed.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I'm kind of reading chat out loud.
All right.
A little bit because. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was gonna say I actually do like Bloodlust being off though personally. Like I think as a community thing, like maybe they need to tweak it like a bit more. But again, I personally actually did like it because it made me go for plays I normally wouldn't. Normally, if a really strong window is being abused, I just okay Bloodlust until I get it them, you know. But without it, it's like okay, what can I try and do? And it actually paid off eventually. Now, granted, not the greatest survivors, but I liked the fact that it actually kind of made me think a little bit differently. Because normally, again, I would if it was a really strong window that you couldn't counter, I would just okay Bloodlust, screw it. And that wasn't common, but it did happen. So,
And this is you as a killer, right?
yes, as a killer, I would again if I was playing Trapper and they were using the Father Campbell's chapel building, and I couldn't find anyone else, yeah, they're using that window. And I'm not gonna hate them for it, but yeah, I'll Bloodlust them. Why not?
How much Survivor do you play?
I'd say my first like 300 hours in the game are strictly Survivor because, well, as much as I hate to admit this, back in the day I was like a total Ochito wannabe, and then I actually I pulled my head out of my ass, and yeah.
Congratulations on growing up.
Thank you. And then nowadays I play about 50-50, although with the queue times of Survivor being like 10 minutes per match, I play a lot more killer. So, but I do play both relatively decently.
Okay, so on that note, from the Survivor perspective, I think you mentioned before, but I might have missed it. How are the killers that you were facing, or did you play as Survivor during this weekend? How were the killers that you faced?
I did play a bit of killer, and I was with a group actually, and one of them was rank 16, so we kept on getting low ranks that were just it was sad. I felt bad, but yeah, and eventually went against a legacy nurse that just mopped the floor with us. So. Yeah, I can't really say that I got an accurate, like, you know, against an actual rank 1 with a full rank red rank team that, you know, it wasn't really like an actual like match I can really say. So again,
I see.
Yeah, I was playing with some new friends that were just giving me low rank killers, so I couldn't really.
I see. Kalen was saying that the boycott was on consoles and that he waited over an hour to get a match on PS4 with crossplay turned off, and that he didn't get a single match. Turned it on and he got a match in 2 minutes. So I guess the boycott they were talking about was on, like you said, on consoles. So I wonder if a console is a bigger chunk of the community, and so we don't really have any access to that information like we do on Steam charts. So it'll be really interesting to see how that turns out. I mean, what the devs do.
Yeah, when you think about it, like, sure, a lot of like the content creators I'd say are like, you know, PC players. Not all of them, obviously. They're good console players that do content also. I'm not saying that there aren't, but a good portion of them are. And the game was like PC like known in the beginning, and then it kind of slowly went to consoles and had a bad rep. But so like I guess it may be known for PC more, but like let's be real, a lot it is on console. It plays decent on console. Obviously with the new map reworks it's not that great, but you know, the game runs, assuming you're lucky, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people own consoles compared to full-on gaming PCs. So I guess, you know, console would have a bigger player base, I guess, in theory. That wouldn't surprise me. And then also, maybe what if they're sorry, what was I trying to say? The boycott? I'm not sure. I mean, again, I don't play consoles, so I don't know. But what if it was because of the map reworks and like the bad frames and stuff like that? Again, I'm spitballing an idea. I have no proof of this. But
that's a good point. I mean, maybe it wasn't just the Bloodlust thing. Maybe it was just a series of a whole bunch of things tied together. I mean, because I know that I don't really feel like playing Dead by Daylight that much. I'd rather play something else. But I mean, the Bloodlust event, I guess we can call it that, was definitely something that actively pushed me away from playing the game. And the only reason that I did on the day that I streamed was just, you know, to see what it was like for that period of time and kind of contribute to the experiment. Rag Savage says it was just burnout, that he's just burnt out from the game, which I understand too.
Yeah, burnout definitely, which again, with the current direction the devs are going in, the game is very burnoutable. They haven't really added any new mechanics in the longest time.
That's not only that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, the loops.
Yeah.
For me, it's the gameplay loop, right? It's the every match starts the same. You do the same things in the same matches, and we've done the same thing for years.
Right.
You know, and arguably you can say that about first-person shooters where you just go into a map and you shoot the other person and then the match ends. But it's how all of that plays out in the middle that is interesting or will kill or let a game live.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Well, I really think that. Sorry, kind of deviating from Bloodlust a little bit, if you don't mind.
No worries.
If you want to go back to it, it's your
No,
podcast.
no,
Just
go ahead.
Go back. I was thinking that they really just need to start adding more mechanics, and not only would it just freshen up the game, but the perks and how they're just the space essentially is just the same perk over and over again, but with the different conditions, different cooldown. What I'm talking about? I don't know if I worded it right.
Believe so. I believe so.
They're essentially perks are where you're just reruns of each other, just activated differently.
Okay, so we're talking about like the perks where you can see a survivor or an aura generator aura
on this condition
because
after
of
this
something
cooldown.
Yeah, like gearhead and distressing and
I feel like if they added some new mechanics into the game, that would just open up a lot of new opportunities for perks. Which, if you don't mind me saying this, I think endgame collapse is just. I'm just going to use that as an example. I don't think, again, don't say this is balanced, but just for shits and giggles, right? Let's just suggest it. What if they start making perks that affected the endgame collapse on both sides, right?
Okay.
For example, let's just say as a killer, they release a new perk, and for every dead survivor you had, 10 seconds would be shaved off the endgame. Doesn't sound like much, but if you killed all 3 survivors and shut the hatch, instead of a 2-minute endgame collapse, it's 1 minute and 30 seconds. Which that's 1/4 of the time off.
I see your angle. I see what you're saying. But I mean, at that point, the 4th survivor is dead anyway. But I do get what you're saying, to have perks that utilize the different aspects of the match, and that's not a bad idea.
Again,
it's not a bad idea.
I was just saying that idea just for the sake of just throwing an idea out there, just for that. I wasn't really saying it would be good or bad or balanced. I was just, again, for the sake of
just an idea.
Yeah, for having a perk that affects a mechanic that isn't really then touched at all, which is missed opportunity, right? And they could do it on both sides too, I think. Like, what if on Survivor side, hypothetically, again, this could be unbalanced as shit. If you finish a heal, 10 seconds are added to the timer. It's paused for 10 seconds. I don't know, something stupid like that, right? Maybe survivors could make some sort of stupid play with it. It would be niche, but at least it would be a perk that's affecting something new, which is what I'm hoping they start doing. That's what I think they start doing, to spice things up a bit.
Speaking of that, actually, with the Chapter 18 changes that they brought up, and they said that they're going to have Victor hold on to lockers and lock survivors inside. This is an entirely new mechanic that they have to develop and create, right?
Yeah.
And similar to what they did with Steve's perk, where you heal over time, I knew when they released that perk that they were going to do that with the syringes, right? And they did.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that once they create this mechanic that locks survivors inside the locker, I really think that they're going to create a perk that does the same thing. And then after that, you're going to be able to tie that with Iron Maiden, and you're going to have some crazy shenanigans that are going to happen with that.
Dude, that actually sounds like fun. Assuming, again, it depends on how they do it. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Every 3 hooks, the fucking locker will be blocked for 3 seconds if the survivor is in there, and then has a cooldown of 1 minute. Like, if it's some shit like that, then probably no one's gonna run it. But if they balance it well, it could be fun.
So Caleb just said, today Blizzard just released a complete overhaul to WoW. It's like their 5th or 6th time to do this, and they have 12 million players. This is something that behavior needs to do if the game is to last. So here's an important question. How do you feel? Would you be willing to give up a DLC chapter or 2 to fix the foundation of the game? Would you want to see that?
As in not buy it, or as in have the devs not develop it for the sake of...
As in the devs don't develop 2 chapters of DLC.
Like Operation Health from Rainbow Six. Yeah, the game needs it. Maybe what they should do, if they really, really want to keep a consistent cycle, is have it towards maybe like 3 chapters every 4 months instead of 4 every 3. That way they have like an extra month to flatten things out, you know? It wouldn't make the biggest change, but it would at least somewhat help. But I think that they should just do that. Just have an Operation Health sort of style thing where they just fix the game. I wouldn't mind.
I've heard of some developers making changes or hot fixes on a more regular basis, like faster than our 3-month wait time before the mid-chapter patch. I wonder if the devs have that capability to do a monthly patch, you know, and to fix some of these things. At least some of the more minor things that would need to be fixed.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they don't do it. I wonder why they don't do it.
I mean, if I was a dev, I would know. I'm not a dev, sadly.
It's something It's just something I wonder. It's a question I have. Right. You know, I mean, we're just regular players, and no matter what suggestions we give, it's the dev's job to fix the game. You know, it's our job to complain about it.
Right. Because at the end of the day, like, what was I gonna say? We're the customers that are playing the game and buying it. And sure, I guess, you know, if you work at a restaurant, you can make yourself some food. But like at the end of the day, you're not working at the restaurant to make yourselves food. You're working for the customers. And if the customers want something, you don't cook something else and tell them, no, this is actually what you want because it tastes like this and you're gonna like it like this. Like if someone wants a pepperoni sub, you give them a pepperoni sub, not a gourmet sandwich with lettuce and romaine, right?
Yeah. Like if they want a pepperoni sub, you give them pepperoni and not salami.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think they need to start applying that logic because. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think you're right. Lonak 2, he says, I'd buy multiple skins if they really spend the time to balance rather than release DLC, and I think that's an important thing to consider. That cosmetics are more expensive than DLC.
Oh yeah,
and people are willing to buy cosmetics if the devs say, we're going to make an Operation Health patch. So the number of DLCs that they would sell can be made up by players who are buying cosmetics as a thank you to the devs for making this DLC happen.
Yeah.
Or this health chapter thing happen.
Right.
And I think it's like it's really simple to us. And I don't understand why the devs don't catch on to that.
Yeah, no, and
because they've even.
No.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, another thing. If they did an Operation Health and then they wanted to release some new content just to keep, you know, some people somewhat excited, they could very easily just do a paragraph like they did with Ash, or right?
Oh yeah.
Just like, you know, just random. Oh yeah. By the way, Castiel from Supernatural. You guys remember him, right? He's now a new survivor. Enjoy. Like just after like maybe a week or two after the Operation Health thing, right? And I don't think that'd break the game that much. Okay, like
not that much. You know,
just a new survivor that's well known by some people. And sure, I know there's people that maybe don't like that show or don't like that character. They're like, oh fuck that, no, hell no. But like the idea is still there. Like with any character, you could do that. Just drop something small that wouldn't really change the game that much while you're fixing the game, just to keep people somewhat occupied.
Exactly. I think people are always saying that the. Like Caleb's saying, everybody's saying that the design team and the dev team or the programmers are two different teams.
Oh yeah.
So you're like, okay, yeah, go ahead and keep making those dresses and those obnoxious survivor cosmetics, and the other team can fix the game.
Yeah.
You know, they're not losing out on anything in that case.
Right. No, exactly.
It is unfortunate. So on the topic of new chapters, so what do you think about the chapter 18? From the change between the PTB and what they announced as what they're going to go ahead and do.
Okay, so the first thing that I thought of, because they fixed the whole, what is it? When you have Victor on your shoulder, they fixed it to where when you get hit and you get down, Victor doesn't just immediately just go away and then you're able to walk out. Like you actually have a delay now. So I'm just thinking, pair that with like Noed or Rancor maybe. Rancor Nemesis per se. You get stunned, you send out Victor, you fucking get on their shoulder, you down them. And then you can maybe pair that with Blood Warden just for memes. And sure, you won't be able to Mori the survivor, but like, you can't cleanse Rancor, you know? And if they stun you, you know, boom, Rancor. That was what I thought. Or you can just bring Noed if you want to be simple. Either way, it works. And then you just put Victor on them, down them, Blood Warden, boom, profit. And they can't escape. And that'd be fun.
I think the trick to that, though, the trick to using Victor and Charlotte in this case is Charlotte has to be pretty close to capitalize on it.
That is a disadvantage, yeah.
Which, I mean, I like and I don't like that at the same time. I understand that they should be close together, but Victor moves so good that it's hard not to get carried away and just use him to go to the opposite side of the map.
Oh, yeah. Like, he has no tear radius, he's tiny. Like, yeah, no, I could totally see myself just, like, chasing someone as Victor, getting on their back, and then oh yeah, I'm literally across the map in the killer shack and all the gens on the opposite side. Whoops. And then as you're walking over there, they get Victor off and they finish the gen. Like yeah, that's probably going to happen a lot to a lot of people just for that reason alone.
So Caitlin brought something else up. He says the fact that they're releasing it in phases tells volumes. They want your money now. We'll fix it later. What do you think about that? The aspect of Victor where they're not ready to release the locker fix, the locker problem, but they're still releasing the DLC for purchase anyway. What do you think about that? What's your opinion on that?
I think that they should just delay the DLC. I wouldn't care. Like Blight, in my opinion, like sure, Blight PTB was horrendous. Don't get me wrong, but Blight now he's actually not that bad. He's pretty fun. A lot of people are enjoying him. They just need to raise his camera, and he's good. So like he got a good DLC last, right? I don't think we need this DLC right now in order to have fun. So if they were to just delay it, give him an animation, and then have it be good, I would prefer that. Yeah, because if they were to just put the feature in without an animation, then what would we have? Victor T-posing in front of the locker for 10 seconds as they're stuck in there? Like, I mean, sure.
Exactly.
It'd be funny for memes, but like in actual, like, for this production of the game-wise, like that would not be good at all. And then just leaving out an essential part of a character just because, we don't have an animation for it yet. It's kind of cheap in my opinion, but it's just my opinion.
I think the important part about this is the fact that players found this counter within like the first hour of playing, within the first match of playing against the Twins, and the devs didn't think about this. They didn't consider it, or if they did, they didn't think anybody would notice. They didn't think it would be such a big deal as a big counter to the Twins, and that they didn't even begin work on this fix, and that they needed the community to tell them, hey, this is a problem. And then they looked at the community's suggestions and then used the locking one, which I really like the idea. I think it's going to be neat, but it bothers me that they didn't think about it in the first place. They've been working on this game for 4 years, and they've been playing this game just as long as some of us have, and they didn't think about lockers.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind.
I agree with you, but I'm not trying to get torched for saying this. I'm actually willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and just say that they just fucked up on this one. And sure, because we all make fuck ups. Hell, for the longest time I didn't even consider the idea that with Hag you could just not hit any arrow keys, hold shift, and just camp a pallet, and then every time the Hag try and push you into their trap, you just don't trigger it because you're not hitting any arrow keys, right? Like, I've been playing this game since 2017. I've been watching content creators. I never even considered it. I never thought of it. And then like just recently, it's like, oh wow, that's a thing. So I'm willing to let people, like, if people don't think of counterplay for something or don't consider something, I'm like, okay, you know what, fair enough. But they discovered it early on, thankfully, and not like 2 months from now, right? Like imagine if the whole locker play wasn't discovered now. 2 months they release the killer as is in the PTB, and then suddenly the content creator that randomly just says, oh hey, by the way, Victor's chasing you, just jump into a fucking locker and you're invincible. And then that's the meta, and then you have to wait for the next mid chapter, and then they forget about it because they're prioritizing map fixes, and it's like that would be a lot worse. So I think the fact that they caught it now, I'm actually happy. Like it would don't get me wrong, it would have been better if they had just thought about it in the first place, but I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. They've messed up. They discovered it early on and they're fixing it. And sure, the fact they're not delaying the DLC to fix it is kind of annoying, but at least they discovered it early,
Yeah, and it's completely fair. It's a completely valid point. And don't feel like you have to agree with me on everything I say.
Oh, no.
You totally don't have to, dude. You don't have to apologize.
I don't agree with everything on it. I just apologize whenever I disagree with people out of habit. That's just a bad habit of mine. So.
All right, well, knock it off. So.
Okay. Sorry. I did it again. No, you're... Okay. Moving on.
That's okay. I do that with my wife all the time. I'm sorry. What did I do? Nothing. I'm sorry.
All right.
Let's see. But you're right. The fact that they did, you're right. I should give them credit here. The community pointed out, hey, this is a problem, and they are doing something about that.
Yeah.
And in the announcement, they say they even mentioned that they wanted to make everything apparent ahead of time, so everybody can make an informed decision about their purchase. That's in the first sentence
Right.
or the second sentence of their announcement, which I've never seen them do that before.
Yeah.
And so with them making that kind of a statement, it does say a lot about what they're trying to do to garner more goodwill within the company.
Which whether it's because the corporate overlord said, okay, you guys are losing respect, get your shit together, we need to make more sales, or whether it's because the team generally sat down and said, all right, guys, listen, we're not, what happened to us? We're not who we were 4 years ago anymore. Like, they're going back to the roots. Whatever the case is, the fact they're doing it is nice, in my opinion. I will say that. And if
there's a lot of...
My only problem is the legendary skins, in my opinion. I don't know. I feel like... Okay, if they had voice lines... I'd consider it, okay? Like, trust me, if they release a Robin skin for Nancy, I don't care. I'm sorry. Like, I'm probably gonna cop that shit, not gonna lie, but like in general though, I really think that the concept that let's just create a new character as a skin, no voice lines, no new animations, nothing, just they're a skin now. It's kind of I'm not a fan.
Kind of lame, right?
Yeah.
It comes down to value. Right. And it's kind of like they're trying to sell us the same thing they've always sold us, but they're calling it something different.
Yeah.
And telling us it's more valuable because of that. If like any of the old skins, any of the original skins that were released were all locked together and they slapped the legendary tag on it, they would probably sell for more. And it's just that it's garbage. But you're right. They don't put more effort into it.
Which, again, if they did, I would happily be willing to buy that.
Prawn says,
the amount of money I waste on skins in other games, I'm guilty, okay? But at the same time, in my defense, I'm... Like, I still, I live with my family still because I just turned 18 like less than a week ago. I have a job. So, like, I'm a kid with no bills to pay and I got nothing better to spend my money on. So, like, I have the excuse, but there are but when you have, like, fully grown adults that play your game, they don't have the time or the money to buy that. And then, again, you could just say don't buy it. But as you've addressed in the past, that's not just, you can't just say don't buy something because people are going to buy stuff if it looks cool,
Yeah. How do you feel about charms? Prawns, he says, pardon my French, but screw charms.
Charms, I agree. I feel like they're just a filler for the battle passes so they can make a little more fill in the spots. Like,
and they don't even fill all of the free spots. That's the part that gets me. The charms are completely useless. You could make them all brown. You could make them all look like trash and just, fill the free slots with charms. And then it'd be fine. Yeah. But they have like so many empty spots. It's unbelievable to me.
Well, the one charm, like the charms that you get from that actually completely the archives, not the rift, but what I'm talking about, right? Like those like glowy blue ones and that recent one, there's like the vortex and stuff from like the last one. That stuff is actually cool and I run that stuff every game. But like majority, 99% of those charms that you get from a battle pass are literally just, oh look, killer icon on a little wooden thing.
Yep. And actually, I kind of, the only two charms that I use on all of my killers are the killer charm and the hag charm. So when a survivor is hooked by Ghostface, by my Ghostface, they literally see on the hook that, oh, this is a hag player. Why is this person using the ghost thing? I just wish that it glowed or if it crackled or if it sparked or something. If it was just a little bit more. Oh, yeah. But that would be kind of neat.
Yeah, that would definitely be neat.
Those are the only ones that I use.
But my problem with charms necessarily is the fact that they could very easily make the rifts, instead of 70 tiers full of garbage and like maybe 3 pieces of gold, they could make it like 45 or 30 tiers of actually good content. And I think people would be a lot more happy. And then also with the rift, since we're talking about it, I just think they release them too frequently. Like I was totally thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to take a break from Dead by Daylight after I complete the one with the Meg dress that they did. Not this one, the one before it. Because I actually liked that dress cosmetic. I got it. I grinded all the way to 70 just for that whole full thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break. There's not going to be a Rift for a while. I'm going to play some other games. I'm going to get some new hobbies, whatever. And then I come back and it's like already a new tier Rift is out. It's like, wait, what are you... And again,
and that's just tied to how long it takes to get through the Rift. Yeah. Because if a normal casual player could get through the Rift, that wouldn't be a problem. Oh, yeah. Because then somebody who is really dying to get to the end of it could grind for a month and a half get to the end, have a month and a half break until the next one started.
Yeah.
But they can't do that.
And then the thing is, though, even if with the current battle pass system, right? Even if they reduce the amount of tiers, like it would still take forever just because of the fact that you have to play 10 good matches to get one of those little crystal things, right?
Mm-hmm.
The medium or like the low level challenges will give you 3 of those, and then the specialty ones where it's like, the really hard ones, quote unquote, some of them are easy, but you get the point. Those are like 5 of those little crystal things. Mm-hmm. So you either if you complete all your challenges early, right, you still have to play 10 matches just for a tier, which in my opinion is fucking ridiculous. Sorry for my language.
Don't worry about it.
With Rainbow Six, I'm just gonna use that game for example because they're sure their battle pass content's not that great, but at least you play one good match of Rainbow Six, you get a tier every time. So even if it's 70 tiers, you can. The last battle pass that Rainbow Six did, it was 70 tiers also. I completed that in like 2 weeks maybe from playing. Dead by Daylight Rift, same amount of tiers, and it literally takes you months, and it's it's ridiculous.
Meep Less Than 3 had a suggestion above there. It said, I feel like the Battle Pass is a missed opportunity. For instance, what content creators are doing, like character portraits, borders, perk icons, music files to change up the game in the lobby. He's got they've got a really good point, saying that if you get to tier 3 of the battle pass, then you unlock this icon that looks like a pacifier for decisive strike. If you get to tier 10, then all of your perks will smoke or have the little entity burny glow thing around it.
Dude, yeah, that'd be sick.
Having cosmetics for the Yui in the battle pass wouldn't cost them anything also.
Right.
Reiko says hell no. But he also says that he wishes there was a contest to design a map, which that would be amazing. That would be cool. I think I forget which game it was. It's a recent game, and Dr. Disrespect got his
I know what you're talking about.
Starts with an R.
I saw Seps playing it recently. If you're still in here, hi. What was it? Rogue Company, right? Yeah.
Rogue Company, mm-hmm.
Right? That one.
And yeah, the Champions Club. He designed that map, or him and his people created that map. How amazing would it be to have a community-made map, even just a chapter?
I actually have a few really good ideas for that because I've created a couple of killer and map concepts in my head. Granted, this isn't the time and place to be sharing them because, time limit and we have discussions. But I think if they did contests where the community could design characters, I mean, sure, it would lead to some broken ass shit. Don't get me wrong. You'd have some ridiculously overpowered stuff, but it would at least be fun. And I've always liked the mindset of if everything is overpowered, then nothing is. That's
right.
Trust me, if they released a bunch of overpowered stuff that shook up the meta a lot, I would actually like that. Now, sure, maybe after a month of going against it, it would get old and they'd nerf it. But it's more fun to start out with overpowered stuff and have it get nerfed eventually. Because at least you'd have fun with it for the start, right?
Yeah, Machine Gun Myers.
Yeah.
Exactly. Years and years ago, Save the Best for Last stacked with Unrelenting, and you had a hit cooldown of 70%, I think. So it was really, really funny. So if you've never seen that, look up a video I've heard of it.
I think it was patched out of the game by the time I started playing. I started playing when Bubba was released, so.
Yeah, I didn't have Myers grinded out. I didn't have the perk available, and I couldn't get to it before they fixed it, so I never got to play with it.
Ouch.
But watching it was hilarious.
Sounds like fun, honestly.
But, I mean, I think I kind of like the idea. They have these contests for the cosmetics, right?
Right.
And rather than a contest, there was this other, I have no idea where it happened, but this other company had collective ideas from the community, and then the community would vote on different aspects of these ideas. And then it was Magic. It was Magic the Gathering. Crucible of Worlds was a contest, was a community program to create a card. And the devs have an opportunity with people who love this game so much to create a DLC by getting community input in making certain decisions of the chapter. And I think that would go a long way to helping them learn how to make a good DLC by making one with the community.
Oh yeah,
that's an idea altogether there.
All right, yeah, because actually I had this one perk idea, and I'm just trying to imagine if there was a perk, right? You kick a generator, and the entity literally just has spikes come out of the ground and block in a whole area of like 10 meters for like 20 seconds, right?
Okay.
So it's like a survivor's, like, let's say Blundette's hiding behind the generator. You kick it. Now that Claudette cannot leave within 20 meters for 10 seconds. Or other flip side, whatever. Imagine that. And sure, it would have a cooldown, because I think that perk would actually deserve a cooldown. But, like, you get the idea. And then maybe make it so it only triggers if a survivor's within that radius, too.
Actually, you know what? If
they announced that perk next DLC, sure, it would get nerfed. But holy shit, that would be fun.
Doesn't that sound like what Cruel Limits should be?
Honestly, yeah. That'd actually be a really good Cruel Limits buff or rework right there.
They complete the generator, and then within, like, you know, a reasonable 32-meter radius, they have these spikes similar to the spikes that come up at the in the gate where they can't get past.
Yeah.
And they're in that area. They cannot leave that area, and the killer possibly gets to that area, and they're screwed because they cannot leave, and they have to hide within that area.
Yeah, that'd be a totally new mechanic. And sure, again, busted? Probably, but it would be fun to at least screw around with. And I think that's what they need to start doing. And then
so then the community, we just came up with that idea, right?
Yeah.
So then the devs say, okay, well, that's too strong, so let's make that a 40-something meter radius, give the survivors some room to move around, right? Okay. And then we're like, okay, that's fair. Then how about you give us a movement speed buff to get to that area? You know, just some back and forth to get this idea honed and good. And then, you know, we end up with this DLC with 6 perks, a survivor, a killer, and a power. That was the combined power of the devs and the geniuses in the community.
Right, exactly, which I think would be a lot more fun for everyone.
It'd be a neat idea.
Yeah.
I kind of... Again, I can't make a forum post about that, so somebody should do that for me.
Well, just make a new account. Easy.
I'll use Mrs. Coconuts. Maybe I can get in there.
Ooh, good call.
Unless I got IP banned. If I got IP banned, then I'll log into her account and I'll get insta-banned. So we'll see what happens there.
Rip. Well.
Okay, so somebody can clip that and share it on the forums, and then the forum mods will make it vanish into the feedback and suggestion forum.
Oh yeah, and then I'll get banned too because I'm associated. Jokes aside, though, I really think that if the community had more ideas that went in, the perks would be a lot more fun and cool. And I think on both sides, that was a killer example, but there's countless survivor ideas that I could probably think of right now that would totally shake up the meta. And for better or worse, I don't know, but it would shake things up, and that's what the game needs now.
Okay, let's try that really quick. Okay, so what's one of your suggestions for Survivor?
Okay, again, we're not going off of how good or bad or broken or whatever. Okay,
we're gonna do this back and forth thing. You're gonna give the suggestion, I'm gonna give a tweak, and then you're gonna respond with a tweak, and we'll see if we can't make a good perk or whatever it is that you're working on here.
Sounds like a fun minigame. Let's go. All right, so Survivor side. Okay. Should I think of a name and then back like?
No. You're coming up with the idea. Yeah.
Okay.
What problem are you trying to solve?
Okay. Problem solving? I can't think of any right now that on the Survivor side that needs.
Okay.
Just for fun though.
All right.
And I feel like killers would hate this idea, but it would be fun. If the killer is stunned or blinded, you get close enough to them, you just like slash their leg with something. The stun wears out. And then they get like temporarily, like less than a second, they're slowed for a second, they face you, and then they become the obsession, let's just say.
Okay.
So let's say your rank 20 Meghead friend that's getting chased, right? Is being chased and they're like about to fucking die. They don't know what they're doing. They're panicking. They get a lucky stun. You run behind them, do that to them. Now the killers, their stun is reduced. So it's not like they're having to suffer stun and that. It's just stun stops. Ouch. Okay, they look at you. You're the obsession now. You're slowed a little bit, but... And let's say for a drawback for the survivor, because I feel like that would be...
Well, that's where I'll come in.
Yeah.
That's where I'll come in. So your idea, so kind of clarify what your idea is. That the idea is the killer is chasing another survivor.
Yeah.
that killer gets stunned and you're close enough to interact with the killer to give them another stun. Is that what you're saying?
Not another stun. You cancel the stun, but you kind of just it redirects the attention at you and it slows them down. So like let's say for like 0.5 seconds.
Okay. All right. So if we were going to do that, okay, it's not a bad idea at the start because I have the attention of 2 survivors, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
if that's an anti-tunnel like incentive, then what's going to happen is once you're my obsession, you can bolt. And I have like 50% movement speed, right? I got cramps,
right.
Like Rag Savage has right there. Then what would happen is, as compensation for that, I want to see your aura for the next bunch of seconds.
Ooh.
And I want to have Bloodlust 2 or 3 speed afterwards, because this is ooh, you son of a bitch, I'm coming after your ass now.
Yeah, you're fucking dead, dude.
Exactly.
I think that'd be fun. I was gonna suggest exposed for like maybe 30 seconds, maybe longer, but
since you're the obsession, you still want a chance to escape after using that. And if the killer catches up to you and capitalizes on that, then good on them. If the killer can't catch up with that much of a boost, then that's the killer's problem.
Well, yeah.
But then you run into other problems. So like if you had that massive of a boost, imagine that on the Blight.
Oh yeah, and then you just Blight rush.
Imagine that on the Spirit.
Oh god.
So there's yes,
Oni.
It could be good, yes, it could be bad, but the possibilities are there. So it's not a bad. You see, that's how it works. You came up with something, and it was pretty obnoxious, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, but no, I was trying to think of something that would, again, if I were sorry.
No. So what I'm saying is that we were able to balance it by having a discussion about this thing from both sides.
Yeah. And
because we understand the game, we were able to make something that sounded kind of reasonable. Now, I'm sure the people in chat kind of think a lot of that sucks. Oh yeah. Right?
I could definitely imagine like if a survivor main was watching this VOD and heard that, they think, oh, that's horrible. Why the hell would I want to do that? Like, and then there's probably some killer mains that are probably also watching this are thinking, why the fuck would that would be the SWF's fucking worst, like SWF bully squad would run that, all 4 of them, just suffering the whole game. Like, but reality is like 2 people are not doing gens. You're chasing somebody and that, so it's not like this.
Chat. It's okay. So chat, give me a yes or a no if you like the idea that we just came up with. Of course, it's just a super basic thing, but I want a general idea of what you think about our little process that we had here. What do you think about that perk, that survivor perk, whatever it is? See, like so far, we don't have any no's on that.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them are killer players.
Hey, at the end of the day, players are players, right?
That's true. Yeah, so like Corvus says, he's not 100%, but he likes the idea behind the process.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, you see, that's the important thing of how to create a good perk. And I don't understand how the devs have such a hard time making good perks. And I think the biggest problem is that they don't get the input from other players who play more than just one side. Or, I mean, I shouldn't be the one saying that, but it's important to have the back and forth to talk about it.
Right.
That's pretty interesting. I enjoyed that. And you know what? I actually think I might do that from now on. Like, take a perk and then back and forth with somebody to fix it. It's kind of a good idea.
Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't have to be drastic changes or new concepts like for example, I think another problem with the perks right now is they require the other side to do something and that you don't have control over that. For example, let's just say you know what? Beast of Prey isn't a survivor set to do something, but it's RNG on when you your Bloodlust, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if they made Beast of Prey, right? And hear me out. Let me explain the logic behind this idea first before you bash me for it. What if instead of upon Bloodlust, you lose your red stain and become undetectable? You vault a window, you get undetectable until you hit somebody. Now, I know on paper this sounds like, why the fuck would I run this perk, right? That's dog shit. If you're looping Shack, or let's say a jungle gym, right, that doesn't have lots of line of sight through the walls, you vault the window, and now you have no red stain. Mind games, you can pull them off now. And you don't need to be playing Ghostface or Tier 1 Myers. You can just, you vault a window, boom. Now you have the no red stain mind game available to you. You don't have to moonwalk. You have control over it.
I understand the idea, and I do like it. The problem is that once that happens, you take away the specialties of the stealth killers, Ghostface in particular. So if the hag can, at will, under certain circumstances, activate undetectable on her own without kind of any drawbacks, right?
Right.
That is literally Ghostface. It's turning off undetectable up for a certain point.
All right.
And I think that takes away some of the speciality of the other killers. Having an awful perk like Trail of Torment, it gives killers the ability to activate it on their own. But right now, it's too easy to be deactivated by survivors.
Right.
The power is in their hands. I do see where you were going with that.
Okay.
But that particular example, I think it would take away from other killers in what they do.
Yeah, fair enough. So what if instead of full-on undetectable, it was just your red stain gone, like it used to be, but you control when it activates instead of on Bloodlust?
You see, and that wouldn't be so bad. Taking the giving control of it to the killer would make it better.
Yeah, which is, again, I think that's what needs to be happening with perks. It's not, they don't need to have their effects buffed, or, well, some of them do, yeah, but a lot of them, the problem is you just, the triggering effect is too, it requires too much for how little it gives, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Caleb has a point here. He says the chase mechanic doesn't work and behavior has no idea how to fix it.
Well,
I think what he means by chase mechanic is just that core part of the game. I mean, survivors love the chase, but it's on such a fine, sharp-ended balance that it's almost impossible to make feel right.
Yeah.
On one end, if the chases if the killer can counter chases too easily, survivors have no chance, the survivors have no fun.
Right.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, the chases go on forever and the killer wants to just quit.
Right.
So there's such a fine balance right there with the chase aspect of the game. I think he's right. I think he's right that the chase is basically impossible to fix at this point.
Which is unfortunate, but true, yeah. I don't really have any kind of argument for that.
I don't like that we had a point.
Exactly.
Okay, so is there anything that you want to talk about before we end here? Is there anything on your mind about the game?
I had a couple of ideas in my head. I'm gonna be real with you guys, but I forgot about them because I had negative sleep last night. I was lying in bed at 3 a.m. with my eyes closed, lights off, trying to sleep, and I just was awake the whole time, completely awake. And that happened for 3 hours, and eventually it was 6:30 in the morning. I was like, all right, you know what? Screw this. I'm just gonna be awake from now. So I'm kind of getting tired and burnt out here. So,
alrighty, buddy. I will let you.
It was an honor. I appreciate you having me on. It was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out, and I think a lot of the people in the chat enjoyed the fact that we were just having a regular chat. Yeah. So that was pretty good. I mean, so I'm gonna let you get some sleep.
All right, I appreciate that. Oh no, I was just saying. All right, just apologies.
It's pretty early or late for you, isn't it?
It is 7:25 for me, and
all right. Well, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I'm just, my sleep schedule.
You're done.
It's more ruined than a generator that's been neglected for fucking 5 minutes after Ruin has been up. Okay.
All right.
My sleep schedule doesn't exist.
I understand that.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah, thanks for allowing me on. Chat, thanks for listening to my dumb ideas. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All righty, Lord Mortal. We'll catch you later.
For sure. Everyone, have a good night. Take care. Or morning, depending on where you are. All right.
Later. Well, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it? I kind of enjoyed that. So, the idea behind that was Lord Immortal was a regular player like the rest of us, and is not necessarily a huge content creator. And I wanted to make the point that his ideas and his opinions are just as important as any of the other content creators that you guys listen to. And I want to make this podcast about the community, not necessarily what is the next big streamer I can get onto the podcast. So that was a lot of fun for me, and I really enjoyed that. So the next time we do the podcast, it's going to be with the community. I'll make sure you join the Discord, and you'll get some heads up on what's going to happen with that. And we'll get like maybe one or two other people, and we'll just have some back and forth about it. Got to know if you could get any streamer, who would it be? If I could get any streamer, who would it be? I'd love to have a chat with True. I would dig having a podcast with True Talent. I agree with a lot of the stuff that he says, and I feel like changing the words and helping explains how he says certain things. I don't know. I like the idea. It would be really kind of neat. I'd do that. Yeah. But other than him, there's Arditha, which I like how he handles himself. Polyester would be pretty good. Who else we got? I don't think I could keep up with Monto. I feel like he would. I feel like I would have to be like, I'd have to be on point with my responses and things, and I'm not sure I could keep up with him. Let's see, who else? Tofu? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Tofu. Maybe. If you talk with True, you have to put on the hat. I'd have to be 115 with Monto, right? I kind of feel like. You have a feeling that me and True might not hit it off that well? That could be true too. So what's the Discord? Exclamation Discord, if you want to do that. He'd be open to listening. That's cool. Okay, so now is the podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself. We're going to do it again sometime. And until then, I'll see you in the fog.